G'day everyone, welcome to the Big Footy Eagles podcast for another week. Coming up on the show, we're talking our predictions for the rest of the West Coast Eagles season. We've got a bit of news, we've got heroes and villains as always, and of course we are going to look at a very important game between the West Coast Eagles and the Western Bulldogs this Sunday. I'm your host, HoneyBadger35. Hello. Joining me this week once again, Miguel Sanchez. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks. I'm in a different box this week. Feels a bit unusual. I'm up on
top right,
up on the top row, not down the bottom. Yeah.
Moving up in the world. You've taken the apartment, top floor, you've taken it from the great man Keys. Keys, on the bottom floor this week. How are things?
Yeah, on the bottom, Brady. So, all good. Everyone's fucked off, left me alone at home by myself with the dog and the chickens. So we're good.
Beautiful. We got the dogs, we got the chickens, we got Miguel, we got Keys. We got you guys as well. Thank you very much for watching. Jump in the comments. Let us know what's going on. Heroes and villains, send them through. If you've got any thoughts, any questions, send them through. We'll answer them throughout the show as we get on. Guys, the Eagles will come off the bye. I reckon we just dive straight in. We've got a little bit to unpack this week in terms of how the Eagles go forward. So let's jump in with a bit of rest of season preview, if you will. Here we go. Rest of season preview. Miguel, I'll start with you. Last week we talked where we were at up until this point in the season. Obviously, by roughly about halfway. We've got a little bit to go in season 2021. A lot to play for the Eagles. Health is coming around as well. The boys are starting to turn a corner on the health front. So very nice to see. And with that, we've got a pretty full list. So let's start with who do we think on that list is going to impress us the most in the second half of the season? Who do you think, Migs, is going to be our best and fairest for the remainder of the season?
It's good to have everyone back. Got four guys coming in, at least four guys coming in this week. Everyone's getting fit at the right time, so hopefully we manage to stay relatively fit. To impress us over the second half of the season, I think Liam Ryan will be better for the run, better for the break. Sorry, he was hampered a bit in the first half of the season, and he went off with that the stress injury and came back and hasn't really looked himself apart from that Carlton game. But I think with a break and with getting guys back around him, and he's got Willie Rioli back training with him, which I'm sure he'll enjoy. So he'd be my pick for someone we'll see some improvement from in the second half of the year.
It's not a bad name to throw out either, Migs, because we talked last week about how he was potentially one of the underperformers of the front half, and obviously injury played a part in that. Keys, is this a sentiment that you share? Ryan set for a big second half of the year, or who else is going to stand up and really guide things home for the West Coast Eagles?
I think last year Ryan's second half of the year was a lot better than his first, and probably and earned him an All Australian. So it'd be handy if you can repeat that. And the other one, maybe Darling, if he can find consistency that's eluded him so far. Couple of bids back, a little bit better supply, maybe in the back half of the year. He's a guy that I hope he can stand up and like Ryan become a little bit more effective, more consistently.
We've got a question here from Moss Oz. Thank you very much for jumping in the comments as well, guys. A lot of good comments early as well. Off to a flyer here. Moss asks, Allen to podium in the BNF. It would be a pretty big back end of the year, I think it would take. He's had a good start to the year, but podium, we're talking next level from Allen. Migs, is that something that you think might actually be on the card for the young forward?
Podium be a big challenge. He's done really well in the roles that we've given him. He's been thrown around a bit. When you talk about names that will be on the podium of guys that'll be close to all Australians, but definitely a very good chance for top 10. So I was just looking up his best ever finish. He hasn't finished top 10 yet, so he could be headed for his first one of those this year. But no, top 3 I think might be a little bit beyond him.
Is that Allen heading for his first top 10? Is that what you said, Migs?
Yeah. If Allen can crack it for the top 10, it'll be a
top 10, top 3 would be beyond him, I think.
We've got G'day to X-Infected Virus back on Twitch, back in the comments. Nice to see you back, mate. My prediction will be number 1, Nick Nat, number 2, Redden, number 3, Barras. That's obviously for the end of season.
I think
that's fairest.
That's pretty much where we landed last week. I think those three were the top three.
Redden's a funny one. Well, I'll throw out a name. If we're purely talking second half best and fairest, Elliot Yeo's hit the ground running. He's shown a little less class to his game and a little bit more recklessness and physicality and that sort of old school vibe. But I'm enjoying it, getting the clearances, getting the tackles, and he's got a little bit of midfield help now. I think with Nick Nat firing, a couple of nice matchups ruck-wise coming up as well. Yoey could be a bit of a clearance beast, maybe somebody to watch as our second half best and fairest. Keys, of some of the lesser names, if you will, or maybe some of the more surprising ones, who do you think is going to stand up in the second half of the year as a bit of a surprise packet, somebody that you might not have predicted coming into 2021?
Well, if he can hold his form from the last game, Luke Edwards looks like we'll get to the team later on, but going on Simpson's press conference today, it looks like he's probably going to hold his spot with some big names coming back. So if he can sort of play the rest of the season, that'd be a huge feather in his cap. So he'd be the one potentially. Outside of that, I think most of the guys are sort of, they're reasonably established. We've got a pretty established best 22 now. You look at the guys, again, as I said, we'll get back to the team later on, but the names there are all, most of them are relatively familiar. So, it might be someone like Petrocelli, who's sort of shown signs that he might be getting his game together. That's a big call. Josh Rotham.
Sam Phillips. Josh Rotham, top 5 BNF. He's leading the league in
marks. We're going to need about 15 guys in the top 5 at this rate.
They're going to need a big bloody podium, I'll tell you that much, yeah.
He's had a good year. Well, top 5? Again, if he gets in the top 10, that's a good, for a guy that sort of was in and out of the side until this year, that'd be a big call. So, but surprise packets, Patch, if he can find the consistency, and sort of that St Kilda game, if you can sort of get that as a bit of a benchmark and get close to that, then that'd be handy. So Edwards and Patch are my two.
We'll get back, as you said, we'll get back to those guys when we're talking teams, because there's a couple of interesting decisions to be made this week. There's a lot of firepower coming back in. Migs, surprise packet for you the rest of the way, 2021. Who stands up?
Luke Edwards was going to be my pick as well. Foley, if he can work his way back in the side, really impressed with what I've seen from him, particularly in the last 2 wins we've had. But he's now lost his spot, of course, with everyone coming back. So, surprise packets, it's difficult to find any because you don't really know which guys are going to be sort of the lesser lights, who's going to actually lock down in the team for the rest of the season. If we
bit of stuttering there from Miguel. Sorry, mate.
If someone
losing you
can
now,
hold his
we'll go Connor West to do a Marlon Pickett from
spot,
2019.
He comes back in, something like that.
Connor West says Keys. That's a bloody big call. Things will be going pretty well if we
he'll come in, he plays
debut in the grand final.
It's not bad. I think I saw that he was hurt this week, but it's a long road. We're still a long way away from the grand final.
He'll be right by then.
He's got plenty of time. Good lad, Connor. Keep tackling. Keep working hard. Migs, I'll keep it with you, and we will talk about trends. Now, this can be coaching. It can be injuries, whatever you like. Let's pretend the season starts now. We'll call it what do we got left? 8 games, something like that? 7, 8 games? 7, 8 game season, whatever it is. What is the trend you want to see in that little mini season that will, you have a look at it, and if things go well, it's a good indicator that things are going to go very well for the West Coast Eagles.
Winning. I'd like to see that.
Thanks, Mick.
I'd like to see a winning trend. The comments here. I'd like to see us continue with the smaller lineups that we've had the last couple of weeks. Not going with the land of the Giants in the forward line in particular, because I think that's been part of the reason that we've run out games a lot better, and that's not good news, I think, for guys like Bailey Williams and Jake Waterman. We start smaller lineups, but we've just looked so much better, particularly in fourth quarters. So I'd like to see that be a trend going forward, especially if the weather's going to be as shithouse as it is as it's forecast for this Sunday.
Well, there you go. Comment from Jay Henry. We will get on to the Sunday game, of course, later on in the show, but forecast of rain concerns me on Sunday, says Jay. Echoing that, Migs, a little bit more balance in the side. I'm loving the one ruck. Do I like that Oscar Allen has to spend a shift in the ruck? No. If Harry Edwards or somebody like that's in the side, I don't mind him giving Nick a chop out, but I don't love Allen in the ruck. You kind of got to pick your poison on this one, though, because that extra runner and Keys, that more balance around the ground, I think that's a good one to watch. And just the contested footy. I've been willing to give us a pass on it without our midfield at full complement and, missing a lot of key All-Australian level guys. But there's this sentiment that the Eagles have always been like this. If you look at our 2018 numbers, we were tackling a bit better. The contested footy was much better in finals. We know they can do it. We've seen them do it against Port this year. That's one that stands up. Love to see them dominate the contested ball a little bit. Or not, maybe not dominate, but break even a lot more and certainly show a little bit more of the give a shit factor, I reckon, their case.
Yeah, I think we probably have to pick and choose when we run that second true ruckman. Not that Williams and Vardy are necessarily true ruckman, but I think against the Bulldogs we can afford to run Allen. When we come up against say Melbourne, for example, who got Gordon and Jackson, or
we've got Collingwood coming up, don't we?
Yeah, Collingwood have got Grundy and Cox.
Cameron or Cox, or
Oh yeah,
Cameron probably.
Cameron's a handy ruckman. So we just have to pick and choose a little bit. And I mean, the sides that don't run two ruckmen tend to be pretty good running sides, like the Bulldogs. So you do need that extra runner. So that's going to be over the rest of the season something that's going to be sort of up and down a little bit. With hopefully Yo and Shuey playing the rest of the season, I think our contested numbers will naturally improve because they're both. We saw Shuey's impact in the Port game, and what he did with our contested possessions, in one game. So, and Yo's, he hasn't been getting a lot of footy because he's been on managed minutes, but what footy he has been getting has generally been at the coalface. So, those two in, and you've got to remember too that when they're going in, they're replacing guys like Gaff and O'Neill and those sorts of players that aren't great contested footy guys. So, I think we'll see a natural improvement there with those guys coming back into the side. And then hopefully, if we're talking trends, that with Gaff maybe spending less time centre bounces and things like that, he can revert back to that wing running man on the wing role that he's suited for. And when he plays his best footy, that's where he's getting out into space and running and becoming a link in the chain rather than one that's trying to initiate it.
Guys, make sure you're jumping in the comments as well. Let us know, because the next one, we're going to talk most important game. Now, it might not be maybe the game that's most important to win. You can interpret this however you want. It might be the game that'll just tell us the most about where we're at.
Grand final.
The grand final. Good stuff, Keys. I'll start with... Well, Keys has made his pick.
AKA Connor West, blue game.
Come back to you, Keys. Mix, I'll start with you, but first I'll read the fixture out. For the rest of the way, we've got the Bulldogs at home. We've got Sydney somewhere in Melbourne, potentially, probably, rather than the SCG. So that's an interesting one. We've got North Melbourne at home.
In Victoria.
Well, exactly, somewhere in Victoria, I should say. Fair enough. So we got, Bulldogs at home, Swans in Victoria, ? North Melbourne at home. We've got the Crows in Adelaide, Saints at home, Magpies at the MCG, Demons at home, Freo at home, and then another big one to close the season. Guess where we're going? It's the bloody Gabba in round 23 again. Lions away to finish it off. Migs, from that slate, which game is the most important for you and why?
This one coming up is very important, I think, because it's a genuine 8-point game, because the Bulldogs are one of the sides that we could look to be knocking out of the top 4. So absolutely have to win this one. Apart from that, beating Melbourne at home would be really important, because again, they're a few games ahead of us, but if they have a bit of a drop off in the second half, that'd be a really big scalp to get, and we get some belief. And yeah, that Brisbane game as well, which again could be an 8-point game, and also we've got a bit of a hoodoo there to break, having just broken the SCG hoodoo.
Keys, for yourself?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's four games that stand out, and that's the games against sides that are already in the 8. So Bulldogs, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. I've had a bit of a play around with the ladder predictor, and I think the game that may well end up defining our season is that round 23 clash against Brisbane, because you're looking at a game that's, if we hold our form and we can win one of those games, that game may end up being the difference between making top 4 and not. So you don't know, because it's really hard to see how the next 8 weeks are going to pan out. But there's every likelihood that that game might be the one that decides our top 4 fate, and it may actually come down to a game between us and Brisbane fighting for the last spot in the 4. So we'll see. But it's, unless I think we can maybe lose one game and still make top 4. So they're all pretty important.
Rod has raised an interesting point here in the comments. Thank you for that one, Rod. He says Adelaide, North, Saints and Pies. Got to win those, otherwise top 4, no chance. And it's an interesting thought experiment, I suppose, in that, okay, we're talking about the Dogs game, top 4, talking about Melbourne, top 4, Brisbane, all this sort of stuff.
If we don't win those games, we're not making top 8, let alone worrying about top 4.
Well, that's the thing, is if you got to take care of business on those sorts of games, and you say, all right, you might be able to drop one game and still make top 4. If it's one of those, you're just making life needlessly hard for yourself, which is something we've seen the Eagles do a little bit this year. The previous Saints game springs to mind. The Essendon game.
Like this year,
yeah.
They've always,
Wow.
Every time the results open up the door for us, we shoot ourselves in the foot. Not last round. Richmond, we got the win there. A few other teams fell over. Maybe this is the start of something. Look. It's not the most important one, but it's an important thing to watch, and it kind of goes back to a trend I'd like to see as well, is let's talk about the North Melbourne game. Should we beat them? Absolutely. You're not a top 8 team, let alone a top 4 team, let alone a contender if you can't beat North at home. But it's more about the manner in which we do it, and maybe the percentage bridge is too much to catch up at this point. Similar to what Rod said, though, there's some games here that are super winnable. You've got to not only take care of business, but I'd really like, Miguel, to see us start actually burying some teams and at least maybe make up that half a game on some of the teams, because our percentage right now is not sitting at the top 4 level. Yeah,
I mean, getting into the top 4 not only relies on us winning just about all our games, it also relies on some of those guys ahead of us losing a few. And if they're losing, then their percentage is coming back towards us. So they should be gettable, but we need to be, sides like North, the Saints, the way they're playing lately. We need to be absolutely putting them away. And, we probably can't afford to be taking our foot off the in the final quarter and resting and giving up some of that percentage again. And again, I suppose that's where the smaller, putting out the smaller lineups and the guys that are able to run out games will help.
So, Keys, as we enter the back end of the 2021 season, we're coming off the bye, we're rested. Hopefully we're fresh and ready to go. What sort of predictions, I suppose, do you have? What's your, let's say vibe? Let's go with vibe. It's the vibe of it all. What sort of vibe do you have now? How do you see the rest of this season going for the Eagles?
I think we'll end up either 5th or 6th. I hope for better, but I think that's probably those 2 losses against Sydney, St Kilda and Essendon, I think are going to be the ones we look back at the end of the year and just go, fuck, really? We could have been top 4. So I reckon 5th or 6th, which will mean a home final against someone in the bottom part, like 7th or 8th, which is
like a Richmond or a Sydney, Richmond might actually get on a bit of a run, but
Sydney or Port. I can see Port.
God bless them.
Throttling themselves in the last part of the year, which they're prone to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully winning a home Elim and then getting past the semi-final, because under Simo, apart from the 2 years we made grand finals, we haven't got past semi-final stage. That's the best we've done in the other years. So I'd like to see us at least get to a prelim. At least then you can look back and say, well, we had a crack, and the year wasn't a total waste. But yeah, 5th or 6th, and we all get to see our Willie back in.
Migs, rest of season vibe, expectations. Hopefully we get Willie back in. Squad's looking healthy. Is it the sort of year that you go, all right, maybe they can win it from a 5th or a 6th, or is it the sort of year where, hey, it all lines up and we make top 4 anyway?
I think history suggests we can't win it from 5th or 6th unless COVID absolutely ravages the eastern states and the finals get moved here. It'd be too difficult for us, I think, to keep flying over and
tough spot here, Migs.
Winning finals. So
is it really bad to hope for that?
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah. Well, you're sort of putting us in a tough spot with stuff like that. Oh, you say COVID sweeps through the eastern seaboard and suddenly the Eagles win a flag. You shouldn't make light, and yet.
Look, I love my team, but probably not enough to wish, pestilence on other people. So I think we need to get into the top 4. Can we do it? Absolutely. Now that we've got players back, we've got a fairly good run with the fixtures that we've just been through. Other sides might start to drop off. The belief within the team should be as strong as ever after the last couple of weeks we've had coming into that bye. So, absolutely. I think we can get into the 4, and then from there anything can happen. But we haven't given ourselves much wriggle room with the first half of the season we've had. So, we can't afford to be dropping the games that, I don't know if it was Cameron or Rod listed out. We've had our losses. I think that we've had our silly losses that you can have a couple of them. We've used them up already.
This is how I'd like to see it happen. Play Richmond in the elimination final and knock them out week 1. Go over and play the semi-final against Melbourne and put them out in straight sets and break them again.
Yeah.
That would leave possibly the Bulldogs in the prelim, and then go for 3-0 in grand finals against Geelong. Now, that would be a nice end to the year.
There you go. You heard it here first. Spoiler alert. There it is. From Keys, right from the word. Let's move on, gents. Let's get into a bit of news. There was a bit of news this week. Willie Rioli came back to the club. We don't need to talk about it. We know what happened. He's back. Happy days. Migs, I'll throw to you, though, because we had a couple of surprise faces, or at least, semi-unexpected faces coming back through the WAFL. Pretty nice effort for a previously winless Beagles side. Suddenly they turned up. All you need to do is add a Norm Smith medalist into your WAFL side and everything's lining up.
Yeah, it's handy. Expected a much better showing from them against Subi with the team that they named. I didn't expect them to knock off Subi, who are, I don't know if they were top of the ladder, but they're right up there. So did really well to win that game, considering had a few guys playing on managed minutes. We lost a couple of players, lost Jalen McGee fairly early in the game with what looked like a serious knee injury, unfortunately, and then lost Connor West at some point in the second half as well. So, 2 rotations down on the bench. and trying to manage those minutes. We did really well to hold on when Subi was coming at the end of that game. So, yeah, that's a great win. Wasn't just the AFL listed players that stood up and performed. We got good performances across the board from the some of the top ups as well. So got another strong side's been named this week. I think there were 12 AFL listed players have been named in the side. There'll probably be a couple of the AFL extended bench guys coming in as well. So it should be the strongest side. Although we've lost the Norm Smith medalist to the AFL side, should just about be the strongest WAFL side that we've put out this year. So good chance of getting a run on and winning against East Fremantle. Interestingly, the only other season that the Beagles have had, which was 2019, having lost last year, obviously, at the bye they'd won a couple of games at least, but they were dead last. Turned it around the second half of the year, won 7 of the last 9, made the finals, actually won a final. Looking a little bit like that this year. We have a relatively good run with injury in the AFL list. We could get on a bit of a roll and have a bit of a comeback this year as well. So, Beagles not all dead and buried yet.
You look at the injury list as well, and obviously you never want to see anybody on it, but if you could pick, you'd weight it towards the bottom end of your squad, and that's sort of where we're at right now. I mean, Jared Cameron, TBC with an ankle, which is disappointing for him. His season's hit a bit of his career, I suppose, has hit a bit of a snag over the last few years. Will Collins is a test with the hamstring. Ben Johnson exists, acknowledged by the Eagles website, 1 week with a hamstring. And then from there, you got Tim Kelly, test, McGovern, test, Petch, test, Shep, test. Venables is TBC. We know what that means. Connor West, 1 to 2 weeks, and Isaiah Winder, 1 to 2 weeks. If you look at the guys, you take out the tests and the people named this week, you look at the guys, the Eagles are starting to turn a bit of a corner, starting to get a little bit healthy as well. So, fingers crossed for not only the health for them, but also it should help out the WAFL guys as well, get a bit of development into them. Last bit of news for the week, AFLW have had a bit of a re-signing fest this week. Every day they're announcing signings and re-signings. Started off earlier on in the week, Bella Lewis coming back to the fold, signing an extended contract. Aisling McCarthy, great to see her back as well. Lauren Gauci and Amber Ward as well. Hopefully we see a little bit more from them this year. But, Lewis and McCarthy especially, very big signatures to get for the AFLW program. Bit of a tough week last week with a couple of farewells as well. So a few spots to fill, but hopefully things all go well there for the AFLW side. A couple of comments coming through. Infected Virus says our injury list's pretty good. The test is, can we maintain our star players? Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Hope for the best there. The Beagles need to make the finals so that Willie can get some conditioning before being named for the GF, says Cam Aldis. We'd love to see that. Hopefully get a couple of
so we're bringing
down there for the Beagles.
Grand final, we're bringing in Willie for his first game of the year and Connor West for his debut.
Yep. Beagles absolutely going to just smash it in the second half of the season. That'll probably do it for the news, and I reckon it's time for the best segment of the week. I reckon it's time for Heroes and Villains. Heroes and Villains time. Keys, here we go. We got, what is this? Warning? Language warning from Keys. Here we go.
Warning.
The language may offend, says Keys. He's holding that one up. Now, people playing at home on the audio version can't hear that or see that. They're about to hear it now, I suspect. Keys, Villain of the Week. I'll turn it over to you. Floor is yours. Go nuts.
Villains first?
Villain first. Let's do it.
Okay. So, Joel Selwood, dirty little fucking sniper that he is.
Yeah.
How did he not get at least a week for either punching a bloke in the head or trying to tear his eyes out or whatever the hell it was? His fuckhead coach backing him up saying, he's a nice guy. Somewhere along the line, the tribunal has got to sort out between football acts and non-football acts. We had the tribunal with Mackay, and he did. I mean, he hit the bloke fairly hard, but he was making a contest for the footy. It was a genuine attempt to get in the ball. What Selwood did, I'd rather Selwood get 3 weeks for doing the shit that he did, even though the guy wasn't injured, than see Mackay. And they're just getting consistent. Mitch Robinson got fined for punching a bloke in the chest in a tackle type thing on the ground. And the week before, how many times did Jack Graham punch Redden in the head?
Mm.
And it wasn't.
Yep.
It wasn't even like, oh yeah, we considered this, but it wasn't that bad. It was just, oh yeah, don't worry about it. It wasn't. It was just like, where's the freaking consistency? So that's one. It's not really villains. It's just me having a whinge.
That's all this is. That's what we're here for.
All the media hype about Essendon.
That was mine.
I mean, for fuck's sake, they're not in the 8. They're 2 games outside of it. The only side in the 8 they've beaten was us, which, that was not happy.
Doesn't count.
Yes, I am yelling at clouds. That's all I do. So, all their other wins have been against sides in the bottom half of the ladder. I don't get it.
They beat the 17th place team by 13 points.
Jake Stringer has somehow become a top 10 player and is worth $1.5 million a year or some bullshit. Yeah. He's about as flaky a player. And he can play a really good game once every 7 weeks. And Nick Cox, 200 centimetres. Good on him. Fuck off, Essendon. We touched on Willie returning to the club.
We did touch Willie, yeah.
I'm home alone. That's all I got. Now, here's more than one newspaper report said Rioli's returned to the club for the first time in 647 days, referring back to when he was originally suspended. These are the same media. They actually reported on Rioli attending training at the beginning of last season. He spent 2 weeks at the club last year, before the season started, before COVID and all that sort of stuff. The same media that are saying he hadn't been there for 647 days reported on it. I know because I went to training that day and I saw all the fucking media there when he came to the club. And
I think they know where he is as well. They're following him every time he tries to get a coffee and every time he tries to bloody, go to the store. You think they'd know where he's at?
So, he's been at the club. He was at the club at the beginning of last season. And then, the West, all the news sort of pumped it up and we got all our Freo mates going, Rioli's a drug cheat, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Blah. Guess what? Willie's back. Suck it. COVID. I don't know if you guys watched the Geelong Bulldogs game last week. They can only have 25% capacity at the crowd.
Heard that.
Because social distancing, it makes sense. What'd they do? They closed off 3/4 of the ground, so the 7,000 people that were there were all jam-packed to fucking together. So,
makes sense.
If you're going to reduce the capacity, let the people sit all over the place, or if you're going to keep it in one area, you might as well have more people there. And the restrictions just suck balls. I hate, if I was a Bulldog supporter, I'd be fucking pissed off. Why the guys got to sit in quarantine for a week and can't go anywhere apart from train? I mean, it just seems just a tad overboard, but Mark Stevens.
There's more. We're on to Steve-O.
Mark Stevens. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the news today. Mark Stevens got a new job.
He sure did.
What part of his career over the last 10 years would make you think, you know what I need to help run our media department? Mark Stevens. Victorian Liberal Party have made him their media manager. I guess, I don't know, if there's something called tanking in politics, they just did it.
Big Footy Eagles political podcast, if you don't mind.
Gold Coast, can we just scrap them? Fuck them.
See you later.
They're just little money drain.
This dick measuring contest between them and Tasmania as well. No one cares, boys. No one cares. Get over it.
Fold them. I mean, you only have to change one letter in the alphabet, and you got Fold Coast. Cameron, you better not be talking about me, buddy.
I think he's talking about Mark Stevens, mate.
Oh, okay.
Oka wants us to say
He's
for
on
the
the list
SRP.
too.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dylan is bullshit.
Pick a reason. Oka's on the list. Last one. Saw a post today on Twitter from Swamp Thing, who's really good on his stats. Every club in the league has had a Thursday or Friday night game this year. Fremantle haven't had one this year. They haven't had one in 2020 or 2019 or 2018 or 2016 was the last time Fremantle have had a Friday night game or a Thursday night game. Now, yeah, we all hate Fremantle and they suck, but Jesus Christ, that is just an absolutely ludicrous bit of fixturing that one club hasn't had a prime time slot for 5 years, and every other club has had at least one this year. So, sucked in Fremantle, but fuck you, AFL. I'm done.
I like it. That's just a good message. That should be the tagline of this show. Sucked in Freo, fuck you, AFL. Well, and Migs, people say, performance, I don't want to go into bat for Freo too much, but Jesus, you've got to earn the slot, blah, blah, blah. No, you don't have to earn the slot because Gold Coast have been insipid for years. Or Adelaide X number of years ago.
Melbourne have been pretty average.
North Melbourne, some people are saying North Melbourne one of the worst sides in the AFL era, like this iteration of North Melbourne. Well, they're getting prime time, so doesn't add up, Migs. Any villains there? Keys poached mine with the Essendon nomination. Any of yours left untouched there, Migs?
I'm surprised mine was untouched, and it's the AFL. Well, the AFL, I think, probably knows that we're now in Thursday night. We've just had our first.
I reckon, Migs. I reckon we've lost you at the worst possible time.
Might start next Thursday, but we haven't had a fixture yet. Oh, I'm talking away here.
I know. I heard something about round 15 and something about a fixture.
Hello.
Start again and really fire into it. Here we go. Let's see if this works.
Start again?
Yeah.
We'll edit this in post. Yeah.
We will.
AFL we've started round 15. Kicked off a few hours ago. We've had a game already. We're potentially less than 1 week away from the start of round 16. We haven't got a fixture yet. I know COVID is already wreaking havoc over there, but we need something, don't we? Even if they shift a few, we need at least a provisional fixture to come out. Teams have got a plan. People have got a plan around getting to games. If the games are actually going ahead and in their state, we need. And then the AFL has said as well that, their mouthpieces have said that apparently we're going to get week by week rolling fixtures from this point forward, which just makes it impossible for people to plan to get to games. I've heard at least anyway that people do have lives that don't revolve around footy. So, it makes it very difficult for them. So I understand that they're sort of juggling a few balls at the moment with COVID, but we need a bit more than this. Yeah, on the Friday, we'll tell you what next week's games are.
Yeah, we're a week away from the round, and you go on the app. I just went on the app. Saturday midnight, every game kicking off. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, I do have some sympathy with AFL on that. I mean, you've got. My wife was at the airport yesterday flying to Karratha, and while she was waiting for a flight, people from Sydney landed, got met by the cops as they got off the plane. If they didn't have a good reason to be in WA, it was like, sorry, but you're getting back on the plane, you can go. And if you did have a good reason, you're quarantining for 2 weeks. So, that was sort of something, the rules changed on their mid-flight. So, as much as it's frustrating, I do have some sympathy for the AFL because the guy that's doing the fixturing, that's got to be awfully difficult, and you've got logistics of where clubs are going to be, and you've got 2 new cases in Victoria, you've got a couple of cases in Queensland. New South Wales is kind of gone to shit. I think the best thing to do will just bring all 18 clubs to Perth and stay here for the rest of the season.
It's the only sensible way. We're only looking after everybody's health and well-being.
I mean,
and
Gold
your
Coast
entertainment.
can play all their games at Leadville Oval. It won't make any difference to their crowd sizes. They'll be the same. They might actually even look like they got close to a full crowd there.
There you go.
You know, North they can play games in the Albany. That's just like Tassie. Send a couple of teams up to Broome, like Brisbane. It's humid. They feel at home. We've got plenty of day spas for Mrs. Cotchin.
Done. Keys has solved it.
Adelaide teams can go down to Margaret River.
There you go.
They
Go ahead.
They love
Breach
their
COVID
Warriors.
rules down there. That'll be nice. Villain of the week. We've had a lot of nominations. Miggs, who's villain of the week?
Oh, gee, who'd we have? Joel Selwood, I think. That was the first one. Yeah, that was some dirty acts.
We backed it up with a really good game tonight. Sucked in, Cats.
Good.
Did he play tonight?
First nomination.
Really heard his name called.
Oh, look at this. We're getting into the I didn't even know he was playing banter. How good is that? All right, Joel Selwood. I reckon that's honestly the first time we've had a player win villain of the week. I might be wrong, but I feel like it usually goes to the media. So Joel Selwood might be the inaugural player recipient.
Joel Selwood, that sounds good.
Well done, Joel. Congratulations, mate. Put it on the trophy list. Miggs, I'll go to you for heroes. Lean week for heroes because, Eagles haven't really had so much going on, but hit me. Who impressed you the most?
You go, Mig.
The only one was one of the villains nominations was Steve-O for deciding to quit being a footy journo to go into politics because I don't care what he's doing and which party he's in. I actually thought he was going to run for a position. But I'm just glad that him leaving footy journalism and politics in Victoria will mean I see a lot less of him.
Well done, Steve-O.
Fantastic, and hopefully he can drag maybe Tom Brown and Kane Corns with him.
I thought it was Tom Brown because I saw a bit of a mystery headline like, some footy journos left and gone to politics. I thought it was Tom Brown. Oh, I was so excited. Anyway, Steve-O's actually not a bad shout there, Mix. Keys, hero for yourself?
Okay, as much as we sort of said, the Tassie and Gold Coast Dick Bezrin can go in the bin, I'm actually going to nominate Tony Cochrane. Caught him on the couch on Monday night, and as much as I said Gold Coast should just fold up and go away, he made pretty good case for his footy club. But best of all, he almost made Nick Rudolph cry harder than the Scott brothers when he told them that Tasmania don't serve a team and that's not the right thing to do and their business case sucks balls and it's not going to succeed. And Nick was like, well, there's a big report, blah, blah, blah. And Topman says, yeah, I've read it and I've asked questions and I've not got answers and it all sucks and it's a load of shit. So that was good. And he also he had a crack at the Victorian bias in the AFL, which is always going to earn points in my book.
Yeah, points for that.
So he, if you've got access to it and you feel like digging it up, have a look. It's not bad. He gives it to him pretty well.
It's heroic. It's properly heroic stuff.
Yeah, it's been a tough week.
Brendan Archie took a pretty good mark in the WAFL.
The Eagles
there you go.
Their first win.
Yep, nicely done,
and then
Eagles.
Absolutely butchered the kick.
And Hamish Brayshaw leading the song after the win because that was pretty fucking stellar. For a guy,
What do you reckon?
For a guy that got cut by the club at the end of last year, the passion he still has for it is pretty impressive.
I'm a sentimental guy. That's a nice sentimental nomination. What do you reckon? Give it to Hammer? Hero of the week, I should say. That's a yes from Keys.
I want to give it to either Tony or Mark Stevens. So, yeah, I think so.
It's not going to Steve-O. It's not going to Gold Coast. Keys is choking away down there in the bottom screen. I reckon we're giving it to Hammer, hero of the week. All right, time to talk footy then. It is round 15, I think, is it? Jesus, I've lost track of all the bye weeks and moving fixtures and all of this. But, Miggs, I do know that the Eagles are playing the Western Bulldogs and the Doggies second on the ladder. Good side, a side we could have, maybe should have beaten earlier in the year. The ins and outs, I'll actually bring them up on the screen now because Sunday teams, obviously we know there's a few to drop off this list, but you've got Kelly in, you've got McGovern in, Petruccelli, Shepherd, Shuey, a lot of All-Australian calibre guys on that list, Petruccelli included. You've got Harry Edwards coming out. Foley is a bit of a surprise out. Played pretty well against the Tigers, I thought. And O'Neill, the unused sub, he's coming out as well, Migs. Where do you think they go with the final team when all is said and done? And how nice is it to see this version of the Eagles named on paper again?
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? There's a few different ways they could go with that extended bench. I don't think Vardy will play. We talked before about when we used the second, and I think in the wet against the Bulldogs, who haven't got Stephen Martin back, I don't think it's an opportunity to bring Vardy in. So Allen has to ruck again. I wouldn't be bringing Petruccelli straight back in. I think the forward line has looked pretty good without him. I'd give him a run at WAFL level. I would leave Jones in over Langdon, but I think they'll go the other way just because Langdon's motor will be pretty important with the number of guys that are on limited minutes. His extra running power will be important. Rotham is a lock, I think. Who else? Luke Edwards, I really want to see hold his spot.
He has to.
Crossed, and I don't know whether it was you or don't know whether it was you or Keys that mentioned, because I get all white guys mixed up apparently. I don't know which of you it was that mentioned that Simo sounded in his press conference like Luke Edwards held his spot. Hopefully it was. That was so probably to Jones versus Langdon for that last spot. Oh, Waterman's the other one I missed out. I think he might get squeezed out again as well. So one of those will be the sub, I think. But Rotham survives. Foley, a little bit surprising that he got dropped, but that probably means Nelson survives. And I think he'll be useful to go on to someone like McRae if he gets off the chain, or Hunter, or who probably isn't going to play against Bont and Pelly.
Well, we saw them go to Bont last time, but obviously no Yo last time, but he had a crack at it.
Yeah. That's true, he did, you're right. So I think his versatility will probably get him one of the last spots on the bench. But difficult. Whoever gets dropped, we've already seen 2 guys get dropped that are very unlucky, and there'll be at least 2 more, I think.
And Cam says here in the comments, Brander unlucky. He's very versatile. Can't disagree that he's unlucky or that he's versatile. But when you look at, Foley, I thought played well, used the footy aggressively, turned it over a bit, but used it really aggressively. He's a bit unlucky. I agree with you. I think Waterman comes out, but on his resume, Waterman might consider himself a bit unlucky. So we're in a good spot. And Keys, it's nice to have the healthy guys back, the stars back. So it's not a bad place to be when you've got this depth and guys can consider themselves unlucky. Keys, let me read you off some numbers for the Doggies, and I'll get your thoughts on the team as well. First in handballs, second in disposals, first in scoring, first in goal assists, first in clearances, second in inside 50s. They look a little bit like a bit of a juggernaut at the moment. So definitely a good game to have a full-strength team back for. Yeah,
it is. Doggies sort of use a lot of the ball. They're about 14th in kicks though. They do handball a fair bit. Look, Foley and Harry Edwards are both very unlucky. But look, if you're those young guys, if someone's going to replace you, and you can turn around and go, yeah, okay, fair enough. If you get replaced by an All-Australian, you're probably going okay.
Yeah.
Shepherd comes in for Foley, Govan comes in with Edwards. There's no embarrassment there.
Unless you're that one bloke in the changes thread that thought we should be bringing Govan Shep back through the WAFL because they hadn't earned their spot.
Sounds like another axe that you've got to grind.
I think beginning of the week, I sort of looked at who might be in the side, and I got to, I think, about at least 8 players who would be really unlucky to miss the 22. And I didn't include Vardy in that. So, there's guys, and that's when we've basically got our best 22 players available. That we went through the injury list before. The guys are on that list are probably the 35th player down on the quality of our list. So we've a couple of guys underdone, admittedly, but we've probably got our best 35 players available to be selected. So with that, you want to expect that those guys are going to be unlucky because you've got such a full, nearly full squad to pick from. I agree, Vardy and Pedge, I think I'd leave out. I'd leave out Waterman. And then I can see Jones being the sub. They seem to like him as being the sub. Luke Edwards definitely is an in. Rotham's definitely an in. And who else is there? Nelson and Langdon. So that's a good side.
Good side.
Whatever the result on Sunday, we don't have any excuses.
No, absolutely not. And Migs will start turning our attention to what's going to happen on the field once the teams are named and all of that's said and done. I read out some stats about the Dogs. They're pretty impressive on paper like that. And then you look at their breakdown of their leaders. Liberatore leads the league in clearances. Bont leads the league in inside 50s. And McRae leads the league in touches. So pretty versatile in the middle. Again, not a bad time to get all your midfield stars back, but we got to run a shutdown job on one of them, I think. You can't just let them go and go for their life and start giving all this good service to Norton and Bruce, whoever else they got down there. So what do you think they're going to do in terms of negating? Is there one of those guys that you think needs to be shut down, or take your pick, really? They're a bunch of stars.
Yeah, and Simo said in his presser that it's basically whack-a-mole. You shut one down and someone else bobs up. I think someone in the comments mentioned Libba might be the one to tag. That might be away we go. Biggest concern I have is that they get those sort of the touches in the midfield and the clearance numbers without getting any hit-outs. They were, I think, bottom 3 for hit-outs, but they were top in clearances, and the clearance differential, I think, was about 100. They've had 100 more clearances than their opposition this season, which is about twice as good as the next best. And we saw that in the game we played them earlier in the season, where we won. I think the hit-outs were 50-15 or something, but we lost the clearances. So they're not really competing. They're just sharking the opposition's taps. So I think we need to. I'm going to start preaching to Nick Nat about how we should be rucking, but I think we need to get a little bit more unpredictable in the way that he's tapping it, and as well as that, just take advantage of the fact that we've got all the stars in there, and get every time that Nick Nat's in the middle, have 3 of Kelly, Shuey, Yo, Sheed in there, so that the opposition don't know who it's going to. Because when you line up with Gaff in there, or maybe to a lesser extent Redden, the opposition can probably guess that it's not going their way. It's going to go to one of those prime movers. So put all the prime movers in there, shake things up a bit, maybe just thump it forward a bit, just try and get a bit more unpredictable to the opposition while also being predictable to their teammates, I suppose. Easy job. There you go, Nick. I've just told you how to do your job.
Done. Lock that one in. Thanks, Nick. You look at, the last time they played, it was a tough loss because the what-if moment, maybe not of the season, but certainly of the game, is Cripps at the top of the goal square and the Eagles are up by a bit. Just, roaring home. If he kicks it, somehow fails to kick it from the goal square and we go on to lose. Keys, Bont had 30 and 3. McRae had 41. Disposal-wise, the Dogs had nearly 100 more touches than us. What else we got? Inside 50s, I'm sure will be spectacular as well. 51-47. Not actually as bad as I thought it might have been. So, nonetheless, Dogs certainly getting most use of the footy. Back at Optus, different shaped ground to where we played last time at Marvel. Can the Eagles get their game set up, take the ball out of the hand of the Dogs, key users, key throwers of the ball, as some people in the comments pointed out? How do we go about slowing down that attack?
I think a trend that's appeared against the Dogs in the last 2 or 3 weeks from a few clubs, and got raised in the press conference today with Simo when he was talking about who, if anyone, we sit on And you mentioned like clubs were sort of sitting on Liberatore, and I think that's the one that you really need to try and control or limit his influence. And I'd like to see us put Redden on him. Redden's got that hardness, and he's got a bit of mongrel to him to sort of get in there and niggle and things like that. I mean, he's not critical to us offensively as such. If he can sort of bang heads with Liberatore all game and just hit that guy's life hell for 2 hours, that'll go a long way to win. And I think McRae in particular, and to a lesser extent, a little bit Bontempelli, if you're stopping that ball getting fed out to those guys, you're getting the ball going our way. If I did see a comment, someone popped up, if the Dogs do have a weakness, it's their back six. Their defence gets protected by their strong midfield because the ball's not going down there. So that's where we've got an advantage down there, although the weather's going to mitigate that a little bit because our marking power is going to be stymied. But we've got the opportunity if we can get the ball and because it is wet, if we can get forward half possession and win the territory game, we'll win. So controlling Liberatore is critical. So that's the matchup that we need to control.
Mig's throwing it down back for the Eagles. McGovern, we expect to come back in, named, and you expect that's not a bluff. I'm sure he'll be back. Edwards dropped, so you lose a bit of height there, but Barras is going to have a big matchup, I would suggest, with Norton. Is that something you agree with? And how do you see the Eagles trying to shut things down on what could be an interesting night for the tall forwards, given the weather?
Yeah, assuming Norton plays, because he was subbed out of the last game with some rib damage or something, and I know Shaki's been named. They have to name an extended bench, but Shaki's on there, so he could potentially be cover for Norton. But yeah, assuming Norton plays, they've got him and Bruce down there, who are both unfashionable at times, but dangerous. So that'll keep McGovern. Might spend a bit of time on them. He's got the height to go with them. We do have. It's looking like we'll have a fairly full back line despite the weather because our best guys are all tall. I think we're all Rotham will survive the chop.
Shaki's on the shit list, Bender.
Is Shaki still on a list, which is
on the list.
Nice comment, but absolute recipe for disaster if he plays and gets up and kicks a bag. But anyway, we'll power along, Mix.
Sort of player that would do that as well. English is the other one that he'll drift forward. He'll try and drag Nick Nat forward, or Nick Nat probably won't just go with him. So someone like Rotham will have to pick him up. And with Edwards out of the side, we don't have anyone with the height to go with English. So we'll be relying on guys using their expertise and their bodywork to keep him out of it. But he could be dangerous. He's going to get smashed in the ruck by Nick Nat. It's around the ground and he'll hurt us. And they've got the smaller guys, but the players that we've got there should be able to sit on them. Cody Waitman's looked a little bit dangerous. Who else have they got? I can't even think of as small forwards. Mitch Wallace.
McLean's good for about 3 or 4 high tackles. He's
got that Selwood style as well. I think either end of the ground we match up pretty well. Down the other end, you guys touched on it, but our forwards, if we get them enough supply, should absolutely destroy the Bulldogs' backs because that's their weakest line. But we need to get them enough supply, and that starts in the middle, and that's going to be the critical battle.
Keys, we'll swing around to the other end of the field, the forwards. The Eagles boasting a nice complement of forwards, and you'd say that with the back line where it's at, we'll see Allen as a permanent forward once again, hopefully for a good innings here. So you got Darling, you got Kennedy, you got Allen. Ryan seems to like playing against the Dogs from memory, and maybe Petch, maybe Langdon, a couple more guys there. How do you see on a bit of a wet, miserable night, how do you see the Eagles going about it, given that you'd say maybe the lead-up mark isn't going to be as prevalent as it has been?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be wet, but I think, Optus is still pretty slippery. I'd like to see us, our forwards push up, like really high up the ground, which is unusual for them, but try and get the ball out the back. Things with hard grounds and wet weather is the ball tends to skid. So if we can get the ball up over the head of the fence and then skidding towards goals, and you get guys like Ryan and Cripps who are fairly quick running onto a loose ball, running towards goal, that'd be quite handy. And possibly, I mean, I know we said Petch out, but maybe, if his hemi's okay, he would be another one that could actually be quite damaging in that. And the one game he did kick 5 goals was against Port in the wet, getting out the back. So I want us to get, an open forward line's critical. The other thing is, I mean, a lot of us, we've sort of spoken a little bit about, the wet weather sort of diminishing our marking power and things like that. Bulldogs they're a high possession team, and if we can up our tackling pressure, which is a big ask for our guys who don't like doing that, but if we can do that, if you try and use the ball a lot, particularly by hand in the wet weather, that can come up unstuck, albeit that the Dogs do tend to throw the ball around, and wet weather and throwing is not
a lot of clever handballs.
Handballing in wet weather.
One of those.
They'll be allowed to do it even more than usual.
Yeah. Oh, slick handball out of the middle.
Yeah.
Just reverting back to the other end, I'd kind of like to see us run with Rotham on Bruce. Bruce is he's a lead up forward. He's not a particularly strong body on body forward. I reckon Rotham's got the agility to go with him. He's got the reach to go with him a little bit as well. And if we do that, that leaves Fat Guts McGovern to sort of just sit around in the back line and, pick up English if he does drift forward, but just, get in the way, which he's, pretty good at. So, but Barras has got to go with Norton because he's got the aerial capacity to go with Norton. And he needs to make sure that he blocks Norton's run at the footy, which is something that Barras isn't always super good at. But he needs to not let Norton jump at the ball.
Very good. Migs, I'll throw it to you. Let's do tipping. Huge game for the Eagles. If they get a win, you start to think, yep, shit, this is a full health team. They've just knocked off Richmond. They've just knocked off the Dogs. At the very least, you go, all right, they're back to very hard to beat at home territory. Starting to build towards the second half of the year. So can they do it? And who's going to impress us as they try and pursue that win?
Yeah, I've picked us by 14. I think it'll be a low-scoring, wet, unattractive game. And best of field, I've got Liam Ryan, who, as I said earlier, be better for the break and will bring a bit of class to the difficult conditions. So, yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Hope it eventuates. Keys, how do you like it? Let me guess. Somebody by 24.
Yeah, Eagles by 24.
Hey.
Best on Luke Shuey. He's ready to go. He did well against Port, coming back off limited prep. He's ready to go. He'd be busted. First game back as captain again. He'll be he'll be raring to go. We win this, and we're one game off second.
Sounds nice. Sign me up. Sign me all the way up.
So, because Brisbane belted Geelong, and if we can knock over the Bullies, those three teams will be on 40, and we'll get to 36. And depending on what Port Adelaide do, they'll be on either 36 or 40. So yeah, we'll be one game a percentage out from second. Bender, no, we're playing the Bulldogs. They don't lose free kick counts. They win every single one. So yeah, it'll be, if we can break even in free kicks, that'll be a solid.
Solid day at the office there for the West Coast Eagles. Yeah, Paul says West Coast by 13 free kicks, ex-infected virus. West Coast by 25. Darling to find form again. A rare off night. You know, Darling's good for at least one fantastic quarter a game at the very least. Didn't have it last time out, so hopefully he can bounce back. I've just spent this whole segment talking about how marking's going to be tough and the key forwards might find it difficult, but Josh Kennedy coming off a week off. He had a week off earlier in the season before we played Freo. Then he came out, kicked 3 goals straight. Same again, had a week off. We played Richmond, 4 goals straight. There's a pre-finals bye. Did they do the pre-finals bye last year? I forget where we wound up with that one, but let's pretend they did, because he's come in and kicked 3 goals, 4 in the final last year. Throw it back to the last time he had a bye. Before that, 4 goals, 2. He's all over the place. This guy on a week off, body's rested, he's focused, ready to kick some goals. Josh Kennedy, the best on ground for me. I hope the Eagles win.
It's his favourite team to play against too.
Doggies? Yeah, you know what? He's had that bag of, 10 against him and always bobs up with a 6 or a 7, a couple of good little outings. So go on then, Josh Kennedy. And the Eagles are going to win it by 12, let's say. Let's say they'll win it by 12 points. That will do it from us this week, guys. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Migs, Keys, thank you very much, guys, for coming back on as well. Either of you getting out to the footy this week? You're going to be there to scream and go a little bit wild like we did last time?
Yeah, I'm going. I'll, looking forward to sit up there in the weather. But, yeah, definitely be helping out with the noise of affirmation.
Beautiful stuff.
I think I'm missing this one, unfortunately. But we'll see. I might change my mind Sunday morning. If there's a ticket that's still available, I might drag my sorry ass there. Otherwise,
with the weather as well. Well, clouds forming. Keys, maybe you can yell at them, keep them away from us and keep the game nice and dry, keep it on the Eagles' terms. Nonetheless, I'm sure we will have both you guys back in the near future to discuss the Doggies game. We'll be back next week this time. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Everybody in the comments, we're loving the comments. Thank you. Spread it around. If you've got an Eagles mate, if you're in a Facebook group, I don't know, whatever you like. Share the pod, get more viewers, get people involved. We'll have a real good discussion here every week, 8:30 p.m. on the Thursday night. Until next week, guys, hope for the best for the Eagles in round 15. We'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.